Hey everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are okay, and I'm excited to be here with you this morning. I'm going to do a voiceover today for the full moon. This is because it's still dark outside and I felt called to just do the video and have a chat with you guys about what's going on. Not for me personally, but I just mean in general. Now, this is going to be a very special conversation because we're talking about the Aquarius Leo full moon, sorry. I have more to say about this technically, but I haven't had the chance to film that video. Having said that, I think that the better way to talk about it is thematically rather than the technical side of what's going on. This full moon, I would say, is probably one of the most important full moons because it sets a precedent for certain dynamics that are around us that touch upon everything that's happening in the world today. Because I'm talking, this is not scripted in any way. I have no notes, okay? So I'm just going to talk to you guys and do readings, and I'll sign reading for you guys at the end. I just screwed up my box for little cards. Ugh, I hate when that happens. I got these little cards for us today, and I knew I shouldn't have done it. I put like the bottom part in, and now it's stuck. Anyway, so what I thought, I'm going to say things today that will be controversial, and I want you guys to listen and hear me out. They're said with the best intentions. And if at the end of today's session, I feel like what I said is too controversial because it's not scripted, I'm mulling things over essentially, right? Like I'm thinking about things and trying to give you guys a good answer. And so I do feel at the end of this, if I feel like I say something that will be problematic as like a public video, this is going to go for members only. So if you're not a member, this is your heads up. This is one of the public sessions. And if everything, my goal is to keep this public, but I can't guarantee it because if I say, I'm talking about topics that are quite serious. And so if I say certain things that I feel like shouldn't be out there, attached to my channel or whatever, then it'll be for members only. And maybe we'll make it for all tiers of membership, even though it's an all sign, because I know that if you're on a lower tier, I haven't, sorry, if you're on a lower tier, I haven't filmed for you guys in a while. So I have this thing about me. If I ruin something, I get really distracted. I'm trying to let go of this box. Essentially, I stuck a box in another box while taking out cards, and now it's stuck. So it's irritating me, but that's okay. Let out that aggression, Veroosh. How are you guys doing? So the cards there we go. I got it out. Now I can be in peace. Okay, don't do that again. I went to the dollar store and I found these cards and they're conversation starters. Hey, so I want to start using them and you guys can answer in the comments. And so maybe you can tell me your sun sign, rising sign, moon combination. Do you guys remember? I don't know if this is like too weird or niche, but like back in the day, like long time ago, when you were online in chat rooms or whatever, people would ask you your age, sex, and location, just like the country that you're in, just to get an idea of who you were talking to. So it would be called ASL. That's what people would write, like, who are you, basically, the question was. And so, now I want to know your sun, moon, and rising. So SMR. are. So I always think of that, how it's kind of like before we would ask age, sex, location, but now we can ask sun, moon, rising. So I'll ask a question for the purpose of chat, and you guys can answer in the chat whatever the question is. It's like 150 cards, okay? So when you're answering the question, include your sun, moon, and rising. Even if I know it, just answer. Okay. If you could have, they're cool questions. I like these cards. I'll probably get another deck for chat purposes. So if you don't feel comfortable, feel free to talk amongst each other about the answers or make jokes or whatever you feel like, okay? If you could have any animal's ability to swim underwater, which one would you choose and why? So remember, right? Your sun, moon, and rising, and then give your answer. So that's the question. If you could have any animal's ability to swim underwater, which one would you choose and why? Now, like as a preface, again, some of you guys are going to get really mad at me today. So just know that I'm speaking out of concern and out of good faith, okay? So what is the full moon in Leo all about? So that's what we're going to talk about. It already happened, but I didn't really want it. It's a supercharged full moon. What's going to happen is going to happen. And, you know, obviously a lot of things are happening in the world right now that are incredibly intimidating. So this is my core idea about this full moon. The full moon, this is a very powerful, very intense full moon that has a lot to do with the transit of Pluto in Aquarius. And so last time I sort of filmed a video for you guys, we were talking about Pluto in Capricorn opposite Mars in Cancer. And I told you that there would be 3 oppositions between Mars and Pluto. And I think that video, if you can go back to it, that's really important to what we have to say today. And so we were talking about like how like abuses of power and power dynamics in relationships. And this was the power dynamic between Cancer and Capricorn. So if you have Cancer placements, you know that there has been like a lot of emotional relationship issues in your life since 2008, 2009, where people abused power, or where, you know, where power was abused. There was like a push-pull, and you don't have to have those placements to feel it, but Cancer's definitely felt it. So if you had sun, moon, rising, Cancer, Venus, Mars, Cancer, you felt it. For those of you, I don't know if any of you have Pluto in Cancer, because people who have Pluto in Cancer would be very old right now. I don't know, 90 years old. So I do have several people who watch who are very, very old, and it's kind of cool. Like, I like it. But I'm not sure if they're still watching, you know. But check in if you do, because I think if you have Pluto in Cancer, that's your opposition that we ended, and that's pretty special if you're still around for that situation. I learned yesterday that the last pension that America paid out to people who were involved in the Civil War in the 19th century happened in 2020. Wrap your mind around that. I thought that was really mind-blowing. Somebody said that the last pension that was ever paid out to someone was in 2020. And I thought that was incredibly, like, it's true. There's like weird parallels, you know, like Nintendo was created in the same year that Jack the Ripper was going through England and creating all those crimes. There's weird parallels in history that you wouldn't realize in timelines of things occurring, you know, that are true. So don't worry about how many people are watching. I've been away for a while. Do engage if you guys feel like it, as much as possible. But like talk, engagement means talking gets the most. If you share content then that gets a lot of a boost, or if you talk. But those of you who watch a lot, I think the system like counts it differently. Like people who watch a lot, like Rhonda or people, Masha, you know, for years. Many of you guys have been watching for years. I think the system counts your engagement differently than other people, but your engagement is really important to me because that's actually really good for for stats about advertising, because if they see that I have this loyal following, which I do and thankful for, then that has to do with, you know, like it's like a good source for advertising because they know we have good relationships. So but yeah, do comment and like, and that's what the cards are for. It's just to make it fun. I like the cards, and I'll read your messages later after. I usually decompress after doing these kinds of sessions. But anyway, going back. So yeah, so there may be people with Pluto and Cancer who are still around, you know, and that would impact you a lot as well. But now we're switching to Pluto and Aquarius. And so everything that's happening in Leo is in opposition to Aquarius. And for many years now, I've been telling you, pay attention to Leo. And Leos, if you feel like you've been kind of sidelined and not much has been going on, like you're here now, it's your time now. And so this full moon, because it was in Leo, is really, really significant to that. Again, I'm not going to talk about the technical aspects of this, but it's huge. If your North Node is in Leo, I think this is really important for you, actually. If you have a North Node in Leo, or South Node, but more to do with the North Node. So essentially, this full moon is giving us a perspective of which direction we need to go, and like what is going on in terms of the dynamic vis-a-vis the Pluto and Aquarius. Okay? So here's the part that I think will piss off all of you guys, and I'll probably, not all of you guys, but many of you guys. And I might get some dislikes. Please don't be offended. This is in good faith. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story, and I don't even know. I have like a million things going on in my head about this, but I don't know which one will come out. My core belief is, and frankly, I'm going to tone down the politics because of legal concerns. I don't want to get shut down, which is a possibility if I get too political. I will not lie politically, which means that I will not agree with things that I don't agree with, which is essentially what's happening online in terms of political discussion. You will get phased out if you speak on issues authentically, okay? And so if that authenticity is misaligned with the prevailing propaganda or beliefs. So I don't know, I cannot speak with you guys authentically about politics, and therefore I may not be able to talk with you guys. Furthermore, I became aware of some laws in Canada that circumvent me speaking politically online in general, for the same reason that if I said to you what I actually think, it will be a severe backlash. We won't achieve what we want. So, you know, so it's getting, because of the turn of the events, it's getting more problematic for me to say. To be honest, I believe I came online in part, and I wasn't aware of this. This was not like a planned thing. But when I started the channel, I think my mission was sort of, so when I studied politics and economics, the reason I stopped, because I had top grades, I had like the top grade in many classes, was that it was inconsistent. Okay? So because universities filter out people like me in lieu of people who will cooperate. Okay? That's what happens at universities. And this touches upon the whole. And so coming out of university, I was exhausted. The first time I've gone to university a lot for different things, but with the political economic thing, I was exhausted because I, in good faith, engaged in discourse and then found myself, politely silenced and as many students do. And so essentially the performative nature of academia, especially in social sciences, creates an environment in which they like to say that it's progressive and this and that. But in reality, everything that's happening now was predicted in my classes when I was taking them many years ago. And yet, if I wanted to go into law, if I wanted to go into grad school, I have to have like a almost perfect record. And what happens when you're in university is, even though I had the top grade in many classes, there were other people that were tone policing me, other professors. And so in some classes, I didn't have the top grade. And this created a problematic situation for me if I wanted to go further to school. Furthermore, while I was in school, I recognized this mechanism. And as a person that I'm not independently wealthy, which means like I need to make money to survive. And so if I went into school, it became like a cost benefit analysis, which meant like, even though I believed in those things, it would run me dry. Like it would completely destroy my life to try to pursue it. Right. And in an environment that was not trustworthy because the environment censors. I'm getting to the point. This is all about Leo. Okay. And so it's inauthenticity, performative inauthenticity. And I had classes with people who would label themselves as leftist scholars who were the biggest hypocrites and who would tone police and cut down anyone who was not in alignment with their views. This was in, also, I didn't do a lot in women's studies. That's not my, it's essentially women's studies, in my opinion, is incredibly problematic. And although I'm a feminist, women's studies is largely extremely hypocritical. And you get a lot of that kind of thing, this tone policing, censorship. And what happens in an environment that, even if it's for a leftist cause, and I'm a leftist, right? When you have an environment of people who are constant, like it's institutionalized censorship, what happens is the outcome, it becomes a feedback loop of insanity, okay? And it gets so displaced from truth and from reality, and it empowers these apologist, compromising people, that it becomes a mechanism in and of itself that oppresses people. And so even though it's like a seemingly leftist pursuit that they're going after, in practice, after years and repetition, it weeds out people who are genuinely concerned about the bottom line. And you get a series of people who are complacent and who are willing to go along with the narrative for their own advancement in academia. This happens online exactly the same way. So it filters out the people who are authentic for the people who are willing to be inauthentic while waving the authenticity flag in order to progress for themselves. The people who are willing to play ball, right? And so I got very tired from engaging in this, and I really decided the reason I didn't go to grad school for this is because I knew it was deceptive and I wasn't going to achieve the aims that I wanted. And so going back when I started the channel, I always think about why I started the channel, and it really happened organically, right? But I think it did have a lot to do. I was exhausted. I was burnt out at the end of college. And I was incredibly depressed because the values that I have as a leftist, I saw a satire of them in leftist departments. It's not the right is the right, they say what they say. That's a whole other conversation. But in the leftist, it was so disingenuous, right? And so when I started the channel, and before all this stuff happened politically now, do you guys remember my content took like a shift, and it was honestly, it was like my natural reactions to what was happening. I couldn't hold back from speaking on certain things. Certain things were happening that were very close to my heart, and I felt like I needed to warn you as to what's happening or give you my perspective. And that was, long time ago. And the first administration of this administration, I got really dragged, because I was like, I am a leftist, and I think many people see me as a leftist, and I think people were shocked when I was saying like, well, he's going to get elected because of inauthenticity, and people didn't want to hear it back then in 2016. They didn't want to hear it. Like, they're like, oh, you're conservative. And I had suddenly all these conservative followers who were like, oh, like, you align with us. But I cannot align with conservative values because they embrace things like erasure, right? So they support the erasure of human beings. And on that principle alone, there is absolutely no way that I can side with anything that's right wing, because my core belief is that no human being deserves the right to be deleted, okay, in any way. So because I was critical of leftist values in 2016, I experienced a pretty intense backlash and misunderstanding from the public, people who were watching me, that isolated me both from the left and from the right, because I was criticizing leftism, and I think justifiably so, while at the same time right-wingers thought I was saying right-wing talking points, which I wasn't. And I think that they were shocked when I would say the more tolerant things, towards other people and groups of people. And so there was this, and I think that's all by design, and let's not talk about it here, but all this confusion. And so I had this need to talk to you guys about like the storm that I saw coming. And so essentially what I feel like the issue is a crisis in authenticity. Because in universities, okay, it's a freaking joke. There are good professors out there. There are people who are mindful, but overwhelmingly so, there is a tokenizing of leftism and a weaponization of leftism that alienates people and causes people to feel as though they don't have representation, okay? And so people become so isolated and dejected from this leftist cause that they then align with the alternative to defend themselves. Because when the left is triangulating and weaponizing stories of different minority groups against each other and different groups of people are like, wait a minute, you're sacrificing my well-being. One thing I'll say about this, and I don't want to get too intense, privileged people in positions of socialism. So let's say like I'm not going to name names but rich people who are leaders or presidents, prime ministers, who are then in a position of a socialist nature, which means redistribute wealth and between different groups, they're inherently a bad choice for that position because they themselves have never had to live with the consequences of their behavior, which means their privilege shields them from actually paying for things. And so they've never learned what it costs to lose something. For them, on paper, it looks great. Oh, we'll shift this around and, this person will get this and this person will get that. But they don't have that first person perspective of what a middle class person, I mean, someone who makes under $250,000, the threat of survival being challenged, they don't face that. And so what happens when you have rich people, socialists, even though they may have these good intentions, be male, feminists, whatever, is because they don't have the life experiences of understanding how to manage resources. And so they don't understand that the decisions they make affect middle class people, and they destroy their futures with the wave of the pen. Sorry to be dramatic, right? And so I think we have a crisis in authenticity overall. And I think that crisis in authenticity is leading people on the right, or not all people on the right are bad, right? But it's creating this crisis of authenticity, is empowering the most right wing and the most totalitarian things, because like sheep, they are afraid of these bourgeoisie socialists who are going to sacrifice their well-being for the purpose of some socialist cause. And if you question them, they will call you a bigot, they will call you a racist, they will call you anti-religious against some group. So they will weaponize leftist rhetoric. And just to be clear, I'm a bit of an expert on leftist rhetoric. So it's gaslighting. And that's why it's so hard for people to understand, because by design of the system is hypocritical up to the university level, up to graduate schools. And there are people in place that are soft policing everyone from within institutions like social work and politics. And that hypocrisy of that system is challenging the welfare of the people who are underneath their domain, and therefore comes in some right-wing theory that says we will protect you, and then they align that with values that are full of hate. And because it's a bilateral system, like light and dark, there's no nuance to it. And so people who have seen literally their lives sacrificed, their welfare, their future prospects, they reject the untrustworthy left, and then they go to the right, which is also untrustworthy, but it actually is offering to them some kind of promise of representation, right? So it's the cluelessness of the left that is causing this crisis of authenticity. So I'm on my soapbox here. There's a lot of layers to what's going on, but I think our refusal to question the left's hypocrisy is destroying lives, and it's opening the door to horrible things that are happening. And so I don't think we should be afraid to question hypocrisy. And I think, first of all, I've said this before, All Lives Matter is a gaslight. It's a direct gaslight of African American issues in the U.S. So All Lives Matter is a motto designed to gaslight the just demand for representation that African American Black Lives Matter request. So nothing that I'm saying is in support of all lives matter, because that is a manipulative gaslight. It's completely erasure. It's genocidal. It's terrible. So, however, we're in a multipolarity or multiplicity of some kind, where there's lots of different people from different backgrounds and different stories. And what I see over and over again is it's that pitting people against each other, right? And so what's happening a lot, and I'm trying to give you guys some practical opinion on how to start addressing this, because I think we need to start addressing this, is it's not all lives matter, but everybody's circumstances that are disempowering them from having an equal footing with other people are just, and they need to be recognized. All lives matter is a lie, because those people who support all lives matter are not supporting trans rights now, are they? They're the first to line up to try to remove trans people from our society completely. The erasure has been institutionalized through the law now. And so that's not all lives matter then. So we know all lives matter is a lie and it's BS. And we know that African Americans need our respect and veneration and support in empowering themselves. So that's the bottom line. Having said that, and this isn't about African Americans. They're not the ones who are stirring the pot. There's different causes that are stirring the pot in very toxic ways. When you try to, there are people who are using these narratives, the leftist narratives of empowerment and marginalization, to not aim to build a multipolar, respectful society where everybody's needs are met. They're trying to covertly manipulate with tragic histories. And these are subsets of communities, not entire communities, right? Like, a portion of certain groups of people are trying to encourage everyone to only pay attention to them and ignore all the other issues that are going on for other people. And I think that as a person who has studied a lot on development and post-colonial theory, those kinds of things, it really helps to have a compassionate outlook for everyone. This is different than all my lives matter. This is trying to understand as many perspectives and circumstances that people experience, and having support and respect for their circumstances, whether it's financial, ethnic, racial, religious. All of these stories are true. There have been people who have experienced indigenous. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to avoid that group as well. All of these stories are true. And we have to find a way in order for all those stories to receive respect while still respecting each other, right? So there's this fragment that's happening as people these are my small pods of people in all of these communities play into a toxic narrative of we are so hurt as a community and screw those guys over there. Those people should be avoided. That kind of thinking should be avoided. The thinking that I think would work best is our community is suffering and this community is suffering, and try to understand how each community is being affected, and then having love for each other's space. Okay? So love for each other's space. If you guys have an idea, I hate that term, all lives matter. I think it's so disgusting. And the worst thing about it that I hate is that a weaponization of this more true perspective of respect. So it's taking a respectful way of looking at things and trying to twist it into something so dishonest and disrespectful. So I think we have a crisis of authenticity. And this full moon in Leo, and I'll tell you guys the technical side on another day. This full moon in Leo is deeply rooted in that, because as the full moon was happening, we saw this whole like political unfolding of the most hateful rhetoric, of the most hateful, every soul matters. That's beautiful, Anna. That's really beautiful. You guys, yeah, just, we want lots of different, but I think that's beautiful. Every soul matters. I think it just needs to change. So that's, I think, enough, because I think I had more to say. This is such a big topic, but we've talked for half an hour, and maybe we can do an all sign, and that way I can leave this. If I go into this deeper, then it's going to get offensive, and then I will have to make it private. So that's my thoughts. The full moon is about, so I'll do a closing statement, because I had this really important thing to say about. So what is all this about? I am angry with the left, because it's frankly destroyed my life, and it's destroyed my life through lying and manipulation. My professors lied, the politicians lied, social services lied. I worked in social services. All of these people are working together, not all of them within, but the way that it's working, lies, and they're using our sympathy and compassion against us. And we cannot be afraid to challenge that without abandoning the leftist principles and leftist values, right? And so the full moon in Leo, and this is for the person with the North Node in Leo, it's that opening up of the perspective of what the theme of that will be like. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be a lot about this kind of dynamic. There is a prevailing power surge that's going on. And so the countervailing force is our authenticity of Leo, of the heart. Leo, by the way, is representative of the mother. So when people get down on Leos for this and that, it's the mother archetype. Okay, so this is the love of the mother. There are many ancient traditions where the sun, which rules Leo, is female, not the moon. And so in that archetypal history, it's the love, the son of the mother, that is authentic. And that's why Leo is so beautiful. So don't reject Leo as a sign. There's a lot of people. Leo's one of these signs that people get really down on. And I believe that it's the sign of love and motherly love. And so if you have Leo placements and people say this and that about you, no, you have the most beautiful, loving spirit, mother spirit. And so the question is, how do we have to protect ourselves, because it's in Eastern European traditions, we had the vampires, right? And so the tradition states that you have to let the vampire in. You have to open the door. They're not going to come in by themselves. And so we've let the vampire in by our negligence. And the other thing that I'll say about all this is that the weapon of that negligence is gaslighting. The left gaslights itself in this covert attempt to overpower each other's interest groups, and it becomes this conflict of interest in a situation where our collective interest should be collectively upheld. And it's institutional, so don't feel bad if you've been gaslit. This is incredibly difficult to the conditioning through the school system, elementary schools, high schools. It's incredibly deeply rooted to think outside the box. I have the privilege of being from a different country. So when I was going through the education system, I was like, this is BS, because I had that outside perspective. So when you're from a different system, then the indoctrination breaks that indoctrination. But if you're from here, from North America, you're being taught certain values and certain perspectives that are propaganda that empower that system. So in other words, if you feel like, oh shoot, I've been gaslit by all this, it's much harder for someone who was born here to break out of that awareness than someone from a different country. That's why so many people who are immigrants or from other countries, or who have spent a lot of time in different systems, they seem to speak to our issues in a very like, oh wow, like what they're saying is really brilliant. It's because they're bringing in information from a different system, right? And so if they're speaking to our benefit, collective benefit, then that's really helpful. Okay, so that's what I had to say. This full moon in Leo, and it's not political, like it's for you personally as well. The balance of Pluto and Aquarius is going to be a lot about trying to find your way into authenticity out of this mirror that's happening socially. What's happening socially is a mirror of these issues that we have enabled and that have been making us sick for a very long time. Okay? And so I would say that be patient. We'll talk about how this is, I guess, my opening remarks about this, or like my introduction. But we'll talk about this more when Mars enters Leo. But this dynamic with Pluto, it's what's happening externally. You can't think however you want, but what I would suggest is thinking that these right-wing politicians and right-wing ideas that are so, like, it's surreal that they're happening the way they are. But when you're watching it, the more effective strategy is to change the narrative on the left to embrace the challenges that people are facing and minimize the differentiation and conflicts of interest between groups. The fact that African Americans are suffering within our system does not exclude the experiences of Indigenous Americans, Native people, Asian Americans, Eastern Europeans, LGBTQA. This should not be, and Arab Americans. These things should not be exclusive of each other. And when we make them exclusive of each other, we empower individuals in these communities to take advantage of this, weaponize hatred for each other, and then create ideologies that only empower themselves for personal gain, right? So the left is co-opted. It's not working. It's not working well. And right-wing politicians are taking advantage of this, and they're pointing out what's true, but their solution to this is incredibly wrong, right? Their solution to this is more hate, more division, more disempowerment for individuals. The last thing I'll say is the government needs to work for you as a person. The government is here for you. They're not here for billionaires. They're not here for private interest groups. And so I think priority should be, without this egotistical, oh, you have to work for me and screw everyone else. But the idea, they're your servants, right? They're here for you, and they have to fall in line. I don't know what's going on in the US, and I don't understand your system well enough to make a statement. But in Canada, when certain, and Canada's not much better, so just, but there's something that comes to mind with all the changes that the American system's trying to enact. In Canada, when they want to make a large change, we have something called now it's escaping me, a referendum, which is a type of vote that we take on large issues that affect Canada. So if Canada wants to change some big thing about its dynamic, then like let's say that a province wants to secede or something like that, then there would be a referendum about it in which there's a decision that's made about whether or not that's in line with what people want. In other words, the political party that's running, there are certain conditions under which a referendum is called to ask people if they actually want that. So the fact that they're elected is not sufficient for certain things. And in certain instances, when the change is big enough and affects enough people, they call a referendum so that Canadians can decide if they want that change. And I think that that type of process needs to be expanded, right? So if you want to make huge changes to different social things, I think that using something like referendums to ask people, do you actually want this, needs to be implemented. So that you can make decisions. Just the fact that you have a president, prime minister, they should not have the power to completely subvert your way of living just because you elected them, right? And make changes that were not explicitly stated before. Just my opinion on things. I think that I think people misunderstand what democracy is. I think democracy essentially has become this thing to manipulate and to like, oh, if there's a loophole, let's use that to our advantage. And I think that kind of thinking is very toxic for the democratic process. It's not a game. It's not something to like, mess around with. It's something to have respect for. I'm not going to talk, I can't talk. So, Canadian, so I do think that what we're talking about between Canada and US right now is a trade war, right? It's trade issues. I think that it's, again, another example of like how things have gone in a bad direction online, how people are talking about a war escalation is completely irresponsible, and it's completely, these are people who don't understand politics, and unfortunately there are politicians who are feeding into this, especially in Canada, for self-serving reasons, to be like the people's champion all of a sudden, even though they haven't been the people's champion all along. There are people who are weaponizing, and it's completely unprofessional and irresponsible. They're like calling for like attacking Canadian citizens for like defending for like going against the country's interests, even though those citizens have not been held like accountable for any crime. There's been no crime, and yet these politicians are making comments like, oh, attack this person, attack that person for being successful or whatnot. Not that I support what those citizens stand for or what they're doing, but the basic principle, it's the balance of power in Canada is totally messed up. They're acting very irresponsibly, and they're acting very unprofessionally, and people who don't understand politics are getting on social media and echoing their gaslighting and their virtue signaling, and then they're saying that there's going to be a war. Functionally, a war between Canada and the US would be very difficult. Most likely, or possibly in some future time, there could be an economic annexation, but not for many decades. And the current balance of power would need to change, in my opinion. Yeah. There might be a shift in the balance of power, let's just say it that way, like the way that things are, but we're talking about economic stuff right now, which is also very challenging, but it's not like, a head-on war. I don't think that would happen, but you never know. I'm very surprised by how quickly and how much this is escalated. The one thing that I will say, and let's finish up, I'm really saddened, and I don't know if this is true. If you're in America, maybe you can tell me. I'm saddened to see that 55% of Americans support what is happening. But I do think that, like, it's happening. They support it because they're conditioned at that representation issue that we were talking about. And I think that it's gaslighting. There are such covert gaslighting strategies that it creates a double bind, right? A double bind is when you present someone with two options that have two bad results, and they choose the worst of the two options for them. And it's in narcissistic systems, that is an incredibly abusive strategy to disempower people. And so I think that 55% is actually happening because people are in a double bind. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place that doesn't justify their position. But I think that the better way of approaching this is to understand their position and meet them where they are and bring them back over, because I don't think they want to be on that side anyway. And then they use like these arguments about trans rights and all of this. It's so stupid. Okay, it's so stupid to be in somebody else's private business and tell them that they don't exist. It's the most left field, illogical, irrational talking points, or straws. Like straws make these are just issues that affect 0.5% of the population, and you're trampling the minority of the minority to kind of rally around an issue that will never affect your life. Why are these core issues? This is gaslighting. And so rather than yelling at people, or rather than complaining and arguing with people and this and that, I think that it's better to understand mechanically what's happening, that the left has failed us. Okay, we have to agree that the left has failed us. We don't abandon the left. We restructure the left so that everyone who is affected is addressed, and we build. Disrespect is not an answer to disrespect. Because the left has disrespected us, that does not mean the right answer is to be disrespectful and to start, destroying each other. Okay. So that's what the full moon in Leo, all of these transits that are going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius are going to be in Leo right now. And I feel like finding our way, my hand is kind of like a river, like meandering river. The answer is to water always finds a way. We have to find a way to that authenticity, but that authenticity is not at the expense of other people. And we have to find these solutions on a personal basis, individually, but also collectively. So what you can do as a person is show respect to other people. Try to understand where people are coming from. Try not to say things that erase other people's experiences. And it's not all lives matter. It's all souls matter, like Anna said. All people matter. All of our experiences matter. And yes, there will be people who will try to exploit stories to get attention and all this, but that does not minimize the fact that there are people in different groups whose lives are seriously impacted by discrimination or hate or erasure, and that does not destroy the legitimacy. So it has to be an honest conversation with ourselves as to who we are, and has your life been in fact impacted by discrimination, marginalization, or power imbalances? And if so, then that's okay. And you have to then, as a person, be prepared to recognize that other people are going through the same thing as well. And you're allies in this. You're not trying to, it's almost like, I saw these, they were feeding like little kittens with milk. And so they put the one kitten down. They may have been baby lions. And so it was drinking milk. It was from a synthetic feeder. And then they put the second kitten down, and the second kitten started trying to push the first kitten out of the way to get at the milk, until the person who was taking care of them move them to the second nursing station. And this is what animals do. So we have to fight the urge to climb over each other to get representation for ourselves, because that's essentially the hierarchy. This will recreate the hierarchical, discriminatory, like, it's not about who's going to get ahead of someone else, right? It's about how everyone is going to work together to advance a common cause. The one thing, a lot of the challengers that North America has are not multi-ethnic. They are countries and regions that are people of one ethnicity, one identity. And I think a big conflict that North America has, or the way that we're being challenged, is on our plurality and multiplicity. That dynamic is being challenged by outside groups who are exploiting the weaknesses of that, or the challenges that we face as we learn to live together, right? And so, but the point is that many people with different backgrounds, different identities, that's the future. That's where the world is. The world has always moved to, people blending. So we are in the position, like, multiculturalism, multipolarity is the future. And right now, the challenges we face in bringing that about is being weaponized against us by people who represent nationalistic interests. So people who believe in their ethnicity, which is fine, like, go believe your ethnicity. I'm super pro-Slavic. I get it. But the issue, that's going on, I'm trying to just tell you guys what I think might be some of the solutions with this, is it's not weak to be multipolar. It's not weak to be dynamic and to be diverse, right? They're just using that against us because that's their weakness, because they don't have that multipolarity on their side. So we have to embrace the multipolarity, address the things that are a challenge for us with the different people coming from the different backgrounds, and figure out how to make it work, and then we're going to win. Quote, there's no winning, but it's bringing up the best possible solution. So it's not about elimination. It's about bringing people in and addressing their needs and addressing their values. And I feel like the universities, politicians, social institutions have all failed us because they have triangulated and picked people ahead of each other, which creates that competition, like the cats trying to get the milk, right? And so we need to work against that. We need to create for ourselves, and it's not a rejection of that. It's an attempt to bring everyone in. Okay. So it's yeah. And I think it's a dangerous time, and we all have to personally try to do that on a regular day basis. Like, whatever your job is, whoever you are, actively push against it now. And it doesn't have to be violent. It can be aggressively pacifist. If you set the cultural precedent that it's okay to be different and everybody's identity is encompassed in that multipolarity, then without anyone trying to get the milk ahead of someone else, if that is our culture, then we're going to win. Okay? And we are going to win. It's just a matter of figuring it out. That's the opposition of Pluto to Aquarius. Pluto to Leo. Sorry to get on I've been quiet and not really filming much for you guys, but I think that that's what I've been thinking about. I've been watching in shock and horror, but I think on a personal, this isn't a political statement. I guess it is, but it's really for you personally. Strategize. And with this full moon, especially that lady with the North Node in Leo, you need to find a solution to find yourself. And it's not at the expense of other people. because the left has created a system in which we're helping people at the expense of other people. And that's going to create division. That's divisive. So yeah, that's my whole point. Sorry if it was a bit of a long talk, but yeah, it was an hour. Sorry, guys. And I will keep it up. So I have not been here for a while, so I'm proud of this. This is authentic to me. I also think we have a crisis of authenticity. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll just leave that for another day. There are so many people out there who are being so completely inauthentic, who are like, oh, this is like authenticity, and like, you know, I'm being so, it's almost become like this power play, or like it's bullshit. And the people who are weaponizing authenticity while truly being inauthentic, they are doing so for self perseverance or self advancement. And when they do that, they're damaging that authentic, they're damaging the true nature of authenticity for the rest of us. They're trivializing it, you know. And so I think that as a cultural value or norm, I don't think, I'm not talking about canceling anyone, but I'm saying like we should all get the collective ick of someone who's blatantly being inauthentic and saying that they're authentic. This is the difference between being nice and good. You guys know the joke, you know, that there's a difference between nice and good, right? Okay. So you guys are very good in the chat, but I'm going to give you guys another question. So this is a good way for me to change the topic. Oh, you know what? I'll pick a card for each sign that I read, and I want you guys in the comments to tell me your sun, moon, and rising, and answer the question for your zodiac. Okay, that will be fun, right? We'll play a game. Man, I got up on I haven't been around for a while, so I hadn't had, but it actually came out in, you know, the moon is in Virgo. This is making me feel good. And Virgos get frustrated at inconsistency. And this has been very inconsistent. If you guys hear me like irritated or whatever, that's what it is. Like, I'm irritated because it could work much more efficiently. And then goofballs are like, you know, saying this and that and passing laws that are harmful. And damaging our position. We are in a good position now. Just remember, they're sacrificing a good position that has little issues with them, that not maybe big issues, but there are things we need to address. They're exploiting those issues, and they're going to make things worse. And they're going to make you work. They're going to make your kids work if you let them, beyond what is fair. They're opportunistic policies. Okay, so what we need to look is what they have the power now, right? But they may not for long. There's other, you know, and so I'm really trying to like censor myself. So you know, so yeah. I'm trying to censor myself. Oh, you guys are okay. Hold on. First sign. But I want you guys to remember that we are in a good position now. Relatively good. It's not as good as it was, but it's better than it was before. They always say like the past, like make it great again. Like when children were being eaten by their parents because there was like such a depression and nobody had money, that some people with like certain standards were resorting to that kind of stuff. Like, you don't know how bad the past was. Like, if you study history, the past was bad for people, individuals. So we want to take what's somewhat good and make it better instead of sacrificing it. Okay. Pisces first. Like, I'm not minimizing or trivializing how bad it is, but from a position of empowerment here is to recognize all the good and build on that and be very aggressive in building that. rather than feeling deflated and undermined and all of these things, we are in a good position and we're going to put up a good fight and we're going to put it up with goodness and doing good things for people. And that's just my proposal for strategy, under the Leo full moon. Okay, so Pisces first. Let's take a look. I'm not going to do too much astrology. This is going to be mostly tarot and just messages. Okay, so Pisces, your guys' question is, if you could be a professional in completely made up sport, what would it be called? That's a weird question, but you guys are going to do it. If you could be a professional in a completely made up sport, what would it be called? And tell me your sun, moon, and rising. Okay, so so for Pisces, this full moon is a call to action. There are things that you need to improve about your current environment. And so you're not getting everything that you want out of life. And this full moon is going to present you with options and opportunities of how to get there. Okay. But these are things that you're going to have to do in order to get what you want. Okay. So you're going to have to engage in certain behaviors, and it has to do with like your own efficacy, your own work. It's a very practical full moon for you in terms of if you want to change your current circumstances, you are going to have to engage in different behaviors. Okay, so we have the Three of Cups, and then we have the King of Pentacles, and then we have the Seven of Pentacles, and then we have the Page of Cups. So there's some long-term benefits for Pisces if you pay attention now. There are things that you need to do in order to elevate your success and your potential. So practical things like, what do you need to eat different? Do you need to apply yourself differently? Do you need to work out, or whatever you need to do in order to achieve the things that you want? You are being shown the avenue through which you're going to do it. I do feel as though some of you are experiencing some degree of barrier to getting what you want. So the thing that you need to do to get to where you are going comes with, there's a reason, there's a block why you are not going where you are going. Okay. It's like a challenge. So this isn't going to be easy for you, right? Like you're going to have, there's something in your way. Like you don't do certain things because they're a challenge. They're difficult. Okay. And so one of the steps that you must take over, let's say the next 3 years, it's a longer term kind of perspective, is to face that opposition to who you are and go for it. Okay. So you're going to have to face, let's say that your success comes with public speaking, but you hate public speaking. You're not good at it. You're not confident. You are going to have to face that challenge and learn to do it in some modified way that works for you in order to get that goal. But the payoff to that will be very good. It has something to do with transforming your immediate environment. It has something to do with changing the things that are close and dear to you. There's also the possibility of someone who you revere a lot, or a friend of yours who comes back into the picture, and they are reminding you of which way to go and how to go about doing things. But out of all that, you will have so do the actions that you need to do, that you feel you need to do to think practically about your current situation. Do the actions that you need to do to get to where you want to be. The things that this is a good time to write it down, right? Like write it down, make a list. And then the Page of Cups is saying that out of that effort will come an opportunity that you are not even expecting. So put in the effort, even if you don't see how it's going to manifest, it is going to manifest for you. On the bottom, we had the Strength card, which is, it's through your hard work and diligence that you will find a solution to your physical things that are holding you to where you are. Okay. How was that? Let me know how is that as a message? Does that resonate? Is that good? Please give me likes and comments. This is going to be, I'm so happy because I didn't screw up. I talked for an hour and I didn't say anything that I regret. So it's not that I regret it. It's just censorship, right? Okay. So next sign, we have Gemini. Oh, Gemini's next. Okay. We're going to get the mutable signs out of the way first. So if you're not a member, come back, members. I'm sorry I've been away. We'll do member content as well. But if you're not a member, you have to go to work or something. This is, I think, unless I totally, suddenly I got through Pisces, which makes me weird. And so I don't foresee myself saying something, but if I say something that I have to get out of the way, then, okay. I'm a very radical person, like in my belief system. So I have to always tone myself down in terms of belief, but nothing that I believe in is like gross, it's just too radical for the common cause. Not common cause. It's not centrist. I'm very leftist. And so it's hard to talk to big groups of people. Not that I mean, I don't know. The algorithm forces me to care. Yeah. It is. Because if you're middle of the road, then like you read better for big groups of people, right? But we've pretty much eliminated a lot of people already, so over the years. Okay. So, what's your favorite quote about life, Gemini? Tell me your sun, moon, and rising in the comments. And tell me, what is your favorite quote about life? Oh, that's going to be a fun. I like that. Because then you guys can get on your computers and find something that you like. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So Geminis are like the kings and queens of quotes. So good. Good for you. That's going to be a good one. Okay. And that's essentially what everybody's going through, is like the algorithm censors us, Okay, so we have Page of Swords, we have the Ten of Pentacles, and then we have the Knight of Wands, and then we have the Two of Cups. On the bottom, we have the Five of Swords. So definitely dealing with low self-esteem, Gemini. Definitely dealing with being brought down to size from past experiences, and you're working through not allowing yourself to live up to your potential. And I think that this is like an echo from the past, an echo from the recent past. I do feel as though you can look forward to the next 3 years, because there is going to be a very big opening in your life. The road is opening, you're going places, and things are changing. The full moon in Leo is really about touch. A lot of the narratives that you believe in your head are holding you back, belief systems. They're holding you back from being you. And right now with this full moon and all of this polarity, all of this dynamic between Aquarius and Leo has a lot to do with how people around you in your community have how you've internalized belief systems that have held you back. So I think that you're probably exposed to some kind of thought or idea that is emerging for you, showing up in your life. that is presenting a countervailing force to the belief systems that hold you back. So you have this idea that's opening up the door for you. It's taking you places. I do feel as though there's someone entering your life. This could be a romantic person or a person in your family. This is coming with love, care, and compassion. I'm very excited for you for this. This could be a sibling also coming back or someone in your family coming back around, but it's all empowering to you as a family. Like the whole family is happy about this. There is a very brief potential for love here. This is the tarot more than the astrology. But overall, I think that we'll have lots of nice chats with Gemini. I'm very happy for this because Gemini is another sign that has been going through it. And now the astrology for Gemini is very positive and empowering for a very long time. And especially the next 3 years or so. Once Saturn is out of your 10th house. It's not bad. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard me say this. I repeat this quite regularly. I believe that Saturn's transit in the latter part of the sign is a very different dynamic than in the beginning. You're used to it now, and you're probably aligned to some degree to how it's functioning. So you're probably experiencing less challenges than you were when it was in the first stages. So in other words, Saturn at the end of Pisces is better than at the beginning, and so therefore less disruptions for you. So yeah, love for Gemini. Something's coming into the family and an idea is emerging for you that's quite empowering and may contradict some beliefs that you have conditioned with by your lived experiences. And I'm guessing lived experiences between 2019 and 2022 when we had that shit show in your 8th house. Sorry for the S word, algorithm gods. Okay, next sign. Okay. I have this pot. I bought myself, I bought this most beautiful teapot and then it fell apart. Basically the ceramic, it was like a second-hand one, but it was like brand new, but because it was old, it must have, so my teapot went to crap and I was so sad because it was like the most beautiful one. So I got another one and it's huge. It's like 2 liters of tea. And so I'm trying not to drink it because then I'm going to have to go pee. But it's right there. It's so easy to take a sip. Have you guys seen the Never-Ending Story? And where the little boy is drinking, like, he's reading the book in the attic and he's got the little sandwich. He's like, it's not time now. So I feel like Bastian, that's his name. I feel like Bastian right now. It's like, it's not time for the tea yet. I must save it for when I really need it so that I avoid the potty. Until I'm done the chat today. Oh, good times. All the people who know Never-Ending Story know, the lightning strikes and he puts away the sandwich. He's like, we gotta save it for later. So that's why I'm with my tea right now. Gotta save it for later. Okay, next slide. So we have Cancer next. Yeah, everybody loves that movie. That's the movie of a generation, So Cancer's next. Sun, and for anybody who feels like the need to track the order of this, if you want to do that, that's your prerogative. I'm using cards to choose the order, so you don't have to. Don't feel pressure. If you gotta go do something, then go do something. Ooh. I think a good Falcor would be a hard tattoo to get. Melanie says, I want to get Falcor tattooed on me. I think that you're playing with trouble. Yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this. It's so funny. Someone found a blanket of Winnie the Pooh. And the Winnie the Pooh looks so jacked, like he looks so weird, and it doesn't look like honey because the honey is white, and it's like that's how I feel about Falcor. They can do you so dirty with with a Falcor tattoo. Inadvertently so. But yeah. If I see it again, I'll show you guys on social media. It's so funny. Okay, so Cancer. Good morning, Brian. Hi, nice to see you. Okay. So we have, what is your favorite way to relax and unwind, Cancer? We're getting like expert questions for each sign. So remember, again, tell me your sun, moon, and rising, and then answer the question if you are a Cancer. I mean, if you're not a Cancer and you want to answer, go right ahead, but I'm trying to do it for every sign. What is your favorite way to relax and unwind? Okay. So for Cancer, the full moon is in the money house. Hey, girl, hey. Well, Cancer, you might be experiencing some pathological demand avoidance, but it's justified. I think a lot of pathological demand avoidance, some of it is a problem, but for some people, it's not pathological demand avoidance. It's the fact that they're choosing to oppose things that are not good for them. So the world, there's like a misbalance between them and the world around them. And so when they say no, right, they're saying no because, not because they're being trouble, it's because it's not good for them. So it's like, it's more about empowering yourself to say no and empowering yourself to like go your own way. So in the outside world with all these things in Aquarius, Cancer, I do feel as though there could be an outside force that's demanding something from you that is not, it's not true to you. To ask yourself, is that good for me? And I think that the answer with the full moon and all these other transits that we'll talk about later, the technical stuff, there's going to be a lot of your answer comes in the form of self-reliance. So breaking away from the demand, the outside. Okay, let's see. Woo. Okay, so we have the King, the Emperor, and then we have the Nine of Cups, and then we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Three of Swords. I get this feeling, a lot of this is contextualized in that transit of Pluto in the 7th house, which means that like Cancer, you know where it's going. Like you are an expert on people's fuckery. Like you know, and I have to watch my swear words, sorry, YouTube gods, but like you have to, you know where it's going. I call it crappery. Sorry about that. So we'll call it crappery from now on. But Cancer, you know what they're demanding from you, and I'm only encouraging you to trust yourself. You're not being selfish. You're not out of place to double down on something. I think you're feeling probably in some extent guilt or shame for trying to defend yourself. Over the next 20 years, when Pluto is in Aquarius, this will be a major theme for you, and you're going to get very good at this, of knowing, like, from that experience of when power was abused in your life between 2008 and this year, 2024, well, last year, you're taking that information into the 8th house, and when people are asking you to come out of your way financially in circumstances that are not good for you, you're just like, what's in it for me? I think speaking of tattoos, some of you Cancers might stand with like a tattoo of what's in it for me should be more front and center in your mind. Okay, so you are in a power position, the Emperor, with the Nine of Cups. And I think that, yeah, sometimes you have to cut things loose and let people go. That's the Three of Swords that you know might come. But you have to protect yourself and you have to protect your assets in order to maintain, like, don't get discouraged by social relationships gaslighting your entitlement to your property. right? So don't start having like a soft heart towards people that even in this present moment, they may not be a threat, but you're putting your sympathy for other people is putting you in an inferior bargaining position, and you're not being so demanding of your own property or for yourself. And so it's not like a combative thing. And right now it's likely that you trust the people that you're interacting with. This isn't about them. It's about you. It's about you being more self-serving with this full moon. Okay. And there's long-term benefits to learning that early, Cancer. So be selfish. And think about the last 15 years and how that, and use that knowledge of your relationships with other people to your current circumstances. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, next sign. Okay, so we have Virgo next. Hey, Virgos. Let's see. Virgos. Okay, so Virgo, 12th house, full moon. What you're going through, a lot of people don't understand. Okay? That's going to be a huge nuance to what's happening on a big scale. That's not necessary. It's for the good and the bad. So when you have something to celebrate, not everyone knows it. And if you are struggling with something, it may not be apparent to other people, or it's meant to be more hidden than other people know. It's almost like protecting something from the outside places. This is a theme, so this is not just this instance. This is a large theme that I think is emerging for you, Virgo. More like a hidden place. Okay? So we have a question for Virgos. If you have Virgo placements, tell me your sun, moon, and rising and answer this question. If you could be any animal for a day, which one would you choose? This is fun. I'll have fun reading those. Okay. Let's see. Sun, moon, and rising. So it's I get that this is more of an intuitive hit, but it feels like there is a crowd of people walking, not necessarily paying attention to you. They're walking, and there's a lot of them. They're nondescript. This is a vision. They're walking, they're sort of grayed out, and they feel mechanical. I'm not saying they're robots, but they have this energy of otherness to you, and there's not much emotion there. They're just people. They're not necessarily bad, but they're doing people things out there, and you have something special here. And so you are nurturing that special thing that is you, the 12th house. And there's this sense of them, and you want to, for some reason, there's a feeling of wanting to keep this special thing that you're nurturing away from them. Okay, this is a vision, a very clear vision. After we're done, I will tell you guys my dream. I forgot to tell you in the intro, but it's worth telling you guys now. We'll say it after Virgo, and I'll note it in the timestamp. So if anybody wants to watch it later, refer to it, then we'll have, because it's an important dream to what I was saying earlier. Like I said, I didn't script this out today. This just kind of like told you guys what's been on my mind about all this. Okay, Virgo's cards. We have the Last Judgment, my favorite card, Pluto. Then we have the Knight of Wands. We have the King of Cups. And then we have the Two of Wands. On the bottom is the Three of Swords. So Virgo is wise and Virgo is clever. And I think that there's information that's being brought to you, Virgo, information that you're already aware of. So someone might be bringing you information that they think it's news to you, but you're just like yeah, I already know this. This is what's going on. There's someone who is enlightened by what you are about. So you are having the effect on someone of enlightenment. This is a value. This is the King of Cups energy. It could be a man, woman, any gender, any person. But their energy is that of water, King of Water energy, which is this a deep appreciation for the value of you. Okay, so something that you are saying, something that you are showing, this is a powerful thing in relationships, right? When you have relationships are always sort of self-serving. We can say that they're not, but relationships and all sorts of relationships, friendships, acquaintances, whatever. When you offer to someone something that makes their life better, then they appreciate you. And the more that you offer to them that makes their life better, the more that they are attached to you. This isn't meant as a manipulation. This is just meant as an idea of what this person, this King of Cups, sees in you. Like, you know, we all know this when we meet someone who is enlightening, and they may not even intentionally be so. We love people when they bring value into our lives, right? So this person, it has what you're saying and what you're about, or what you have going on, is a deep value to this person. So watch for this person values you. This stabilizes your life, because if it's a coworker, then you have an ally, because they don't want to work in that office if you're not there, because you provide value and nurture. And the King of Cups is saying that they're feeling it, they're feeling it. It's likely that some Virgos have made a decision, again, in that private space, and someone's coming to tell you about it, but you're like, I've already made a decision about this. I already know this. So I think that you know this. I think that this may come on the heels, which means that in the past you felt hurt about a circumstance. Okay. 3 of Swords. So this is on the bottom. You took information. You had the realization about people and circumstances before, and you're acting on your awareness of those positions. Okay. And so what's motivating you is some form of heartbreak that happened in the past that is informing your current actions, including the decision you're making and including the way that you see the world. And in all that, you are finding a new path, Virgo. So just trust the process. Okay? So let me tell you guys my dream. I'll probably repeat it. So if you guys, because this is really important. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I moved from Vancouver 5 years ago. And so I did it because of COVID. I moved before we knew what COVID was. I just felt like Vancouver is a very expensive city, and things could go sideways if it was bad. And I thought, okay, COVID's going to be bad. I don't know how bad. And so I moved. And so at that time, this is all tied into what's happening. So what I was talking about in the beginning, I think is tied to this dream. I've been having prophetic dreams, especially since I've had the channel. And they're not many varieties, but they have all been very precise descriptions of the things that have been happening. So I get these reoccurring dreams with a very specific theme and very specific narrative. And they have a specific kind of look to them, right? And they keep repeating, and I don't know what they're about until I know what they're about. So that's what I want to tell you. So I had this dream in, I would say, 2018 till now, periodically. And it was definitely intense before COVID, okay? And so it was before COVID, and I didn't know what was going on, but I think so. Listen with your souls, listen to with your intuition, and if it makes sense to you, it's not a personal dream for me. Kind of is, but more so to do with everything. And so I don't think it has to do with like something personal. I didn't know what it was about, and as what's happening right now is happening, I do think that it is about what's happening now. So, and it's very archaic. Listen with your intuition and let me know in the comments if it strikes information for you. So, essentially the dream is that I think the first one I had was I was on a rowboat in the ocean. Now, the space between Vancouver Island and the mainland, Vancouver, it's the ocean, but it's the east side of Vancouver Island and the west side. So it's not an open ocean, it's like a big strait. And so I was in that location somewhere. It was still open water, but it wasn't like open ocean, you know? And it was sort of rocky, a little bit of waves. And for some reason, there was a period in which I was going to shore. There was some level of confusion as to what was happening. My first person perspective. It was definitely me. And there was people sort of like rushing to the beach. Okay. And it's kind of like a rocky beach like we have in, like if you're from America, it's like Washington State more so than, you know, Florida or something. And so, or California. It's basically this kind of like cold, watery atmosphere and kind of like rushing to the beach and making it on shore. I think in the first dream I was drenched, but somehow I became, you know, less drenched. And then I was sitting with someone, a person, I think they were male, and the thing I remember is, you know how people like when they sit on the beach, they can like lift their legs up and it's kind of like a inverted V. That's what that person, that's the characteristic thing. And we were talking about life, and the conversation was something about like, you got out of the way of what was happening out there, and pointing to Vancouver. So we were on Vancouver Island sitting, and there was tons of people that were washing on shore through various different means, like logs, like rowboats or swimming, and kind of making it to home base, making it safe. And then we were looking over towards Vancouver, and there was like storm clouds, heavy, low storm clouds, which is really normal for this area. And there was like a hand, a big, but it wasn't a real hand. It was more like some kind of a magic hand that doesn't really exist. And it was reaching in and it was plucking people out. And there was some sense of WAR, and there was some sense of turbulence over on the mainland, and there was people being plucked, and the person I was sitting with said, "Don't worry, you're safe, you got out of the way." And there was this sense of disempowerment that everybody was facing, and people were missing out and losing on what was happening. And it was very much sci-fi. And I don't have lots of sci-fi dreams like this. It was the important thing, that hand and the beams, there were beams of light were getting pulled out through the clouds, and there was very much some kind of entity or presence. I think it was human, but with more power, that was plucking people out of the reality here on Earth in Vancouver and Vancouver Island. And it was getting... They were getting taken up there, okay? But it was like, I don't know the movie, but there was like, there's movies where like half of humanity goes up in a spaceship, and they're up in the spaceship, and they're kind of like, and the poor people are here on Earth. It was that sort of vibe. But me and the other people on the beach and the person I was sitting with. I feel like it's maybe like some kind of guide, because then they disappeared in later dreams. So they like clued me in that you're fine. But it was very much like I literally swam to safety somehow. And there was a couple dreams where I still was on the ocean, but definitely the movement of the dream was onto the beach. So what I think it's, I think it's reflective of my experience, because I think I reached some kind of safety out of the way of something else. But the important thing is what's happening in the sky. Why are people getting beamed up? There's like, and like what's going on in the direction of the mainland, you know, of the continent. Why is there, it wasn't like a full out war, but there was like what seemed like there was activity there that was combative, or like, you know, things exploding. And there was the main thing that in the dream that was important was that people over there were losing their rights and losing their flexibility. I had, how do I say this? It almost was like Vancouver Island was like simpler. Like suddenly we were like no cell phone kind of place, you know, like no electronic stuff. The electronic stuff was over there, but the electronic stuff was like people were losing everything. They had no power because someone was wielding this powerful technology. And so I had that dream from 2017 or 18 until 2020 now. It periodically comes, but it's, and the reason I'm telling you guys this is I had another dream, and I won't tell you guys about it, and I didn't know what it meant, and I had it for years, and now I realize that it's actually emblematic of what I've been living for the last 5 years, which makes me even more confident that the dream with the UFO and like the hand reaching down and all of that stuff is about what's happening. And it involves Vancouver, it involves the mainland, and there's something about like, we won't get to participate in the technology, but it's better than being subjects of the technology, because then you're like pygmies, you know, like people who choose to have the technology will become slaves to it. And then there will be people who choose not to have the access to that same technology. They may not have the benefits, like the financial benefits of it, and they're going to have to like garden and grow vegetables or be self-sufficient, but they're not going to be slaves to it. So, yeah. Okay. So that's my, if I'm just putting it, maybe I should make a video about this, which I explain this very well. I'll make a short video, but I love to hear. I'm definitely all of my dreams, all of my visions come true when they're repetitive like that. There's never one that is not. So this isn't about the dream is telling me that I got out of the way of something, but it's also telling me something about everyone over there, and that's why I'm about what's going on. So I think it's beyond just a personal dream. So I think it's triggered a lot of people. Yeah. Okay, cool. Just leave me comments and let me know. Next sign. Yeah, it just felt like very much like a society above the clouds, reaching down, flying cars, reaching up and grabbing people out of this reality. And I was and it was very clear, like whatever's going on the mainland is separate to where I am. And what's going on there is like people are losing their rights or losing freedoms. Okay. It was a weird dream, so I'm glad I could share it with you. Okay, so we have Capricorn next. We did do Cancer, yep. Hi, Kate's husband. I thought it's cool. Yeah, I think so. Repetitive dreams are very important. Yep. And it's the feeling I get when I have it, you know? Like the feeling of, it's very ominous. The gray clouds over the ocean. People getting plucked out. Very, very ominous. Okay, so Capricorn, my question for you guys is, oh, this is cool. What's your favorite movie and why? Tell me your sun, moon, and rising, where Capricorn is, and tell me what is your favorite movie and why. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so message for Cap. I always get in this how do I say this haze when I'm talking about that dream. It's almost like it brings it back into reality. Everything that I said in the intro is in relation to that. I think it's all connected. Frankly, just the feeling I get, it's all like interconnected. What? Well, hi Sirius. I think you changed your username. I think I know who this is. I hope you're okay. Okay, Capricorns. So the full moon is happening in your 8th house. Okay. Then we have the 8 of Swords, the 3 of Wands, the King of Wands again, King of Cups, sorry, and the King of Swords. If you're Capricorn placements, hold on, I don't remember what I was going to say, but there's definitely messages for Capricorn placements. I do feel as though one of the major things for Capricorns right now that I think is really important, if you are, that's my stomach gurgling because I started this at like 6 in the morning or something. Sorry. Okay. And I'm a breakfast eater, so it's like, what's going on up there? So, okay. So, Capricorn, and again, don't shoot the messenger. This is my message. I feel very strongly for you. And because the full moon happened in your 8th house, I think this is relevant. You guys really need to take a look at how strongly you are holding on to something. Are you holding on to something and despite the fact it's not working? And your strength is tenacity. However, if your strength is tenacity, you have to self-check. There's something, 8 of Swords, that's not easily managed. And the longer that you hold on to it, the more damage you're creating for yourself and possibly for others out of principle. And so I think that this is a check-in full moon for you in which you're supposed to take a look at what's going on and just assess, am I holding on to something? Is it time to move on or change something? The stronger, the more stubborn you get, the more you refuse the change, the more it's going to impact you in the long term. Then we have the 4 of Swords on the bottom. This might have to do with burnout. Okay, so pay attention and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If you do not take care of yourself, you will burn out and it will take far longer to get back to where you want to be. And if you make decisions right away and you acknowledge how things need to change, then you will have the better bargaining position, right? There's a King of Cups and a King of Swords, which to me describes a meeting. This is you and someone else talking and strategizing to figure out a bargaining position, a better position. When you make sure that you make the decision before the decision is made for you, because then you have the best opportunity to manage a situation for the best possible outcome. So you don't want to refuse change or refuse the change that needs to happen, because then you will not have the maneuverability. And now if you recognize that something's not functioning the way that it should, make that decision, look towards something different that you can do for now, and then make a strategic decision with someone else. King of Cups and King of Swords. Very strategic meeting, like two wise heads together saying, let's go in this direction. Make it self-directed decision. Okay? That's what your message is about. Avoid the burnout. Avoid refusing to change will lead to burnout. It's something that needs to be changed. You need to look at that and accept that it's happening the way that it is. Okay? And then because later on you'll create for yourself problems if you don't make the change informed. Again, don't shoot the messenger. I think you'll find success. And whatever I feel like whatever the King of Cups and the King of Swords are doing, this could be a male or female, two wise heads together, incredibly good solution. So you really want to lean into that energy of the meeting between the two. Okay. Then we have the Taurus. Hi, Taurus. Let's see for you. I think that we're done the earth signs now. So Taurus is the last one. I'll pick a question for Taurus. Okay. So Taurus, what is your favorite way to stay active and exercise? Perfect question for Taurus. Sun, moon, rising. Taurus, tell me about it. Tell me your sun, moon, rising. And I'll tell you guys your fortune for the full moon in Leo. That's in the 4th house. If your life is out of balance at this time, if you're, especially in a material sense, there may be a lack of the other person in your life in a positive influence for you, which means that you're getting rickety-rackety energy because the balance with someone else as an ally, a friend, a romantic partner is not there to fill that void. And that's not something that's in this reading. This reading isn't about that person. It's really about if you're feeling rickety-rackety, like the house and money and work are sort of like hard to deal with. If there's like, it's because there's not like a complementary force in your life that is complementing you. It is what it is. It's not like a prediction. It is what it is. It's just naming the dynamic. So if you're feeling like everything's jolty and it's hard to make it work, it's because you're not getting the support if you're single. If you have a partner and you're feeling that, then it's likely that that partner or whoever is in that place is not doing the proper job. And so this full moon highlights that for you. So if you suddenly feel like you have too many chores, you can't keep up and all this, there's a lack there that it's pointing to. That will change in time for some of you. And those of you who are in a great relationship, you will feel like that's really highlighted. The relationship is highlighted. The dynamic is working, and it's just bringing to attention how it's all working together. This isn't a reading so much about whether you'll fall in love or how you'll fall in love. If you're feeling rickety-rackety right now, it's because there's that lack of like a partnership in your life in one way. This can also be in the office. If suddenly in office, Taurus, you feel like, there's too much on your plate, it's a signal that there's no true alliance there for you. You just stay informed. That's your insight into. But a lot of this has to do with the home and family because it's in your 4th house. Okay, so your cards are the 6 of Wands, the 3 of Swords, the Four of Cups and the Seven of Swords. This, and on the bottom is the Lovers, where a lot of this has to do with relationships. That Three of Swords and Seven of Swords, if you're getting the feedback that it's lacking, there's lacking energy there, you're coming to something with like success. You've been successful, or you're not getting everything you want. The reason it's happening, you need to focus on who is there, like, and are they bringing the right energy? The intro was really long for this because this full moon opens up a very long trajectory for us, like 20 years. And so it's a full moon that in and of itself may not have caused something to happen, but it's incredibly insightful as to where things are going for us for a very long time. Okay, so this is a reading you want to save. This is a reading you want to go back to. This is actually a really good reading for understanding like how things will work and what to focus on. And I'm saying that for you because it's not really about something happening right now. It's the awareness of whatever's going on for you and how well those relationships are working. Is your family being supportive? If you're alone, this just means that it's an awareness. It's that feeling, right? It's not, you don't have to have a partner to be complete, but you may be having those feelings of, it's hard being a single parent, or it's hard doing it all by myself. It's hard paying all the mortgage payments by myself. You might be feeling that more intensely. That doesn't mean it has to happen for you that way, that a partner or family, in some way it's going to happen for you sooner or later, whether it's romance or friends that come into the picture that balance it out in one way or another. We all get it sooner or later in one way or another. But the point here is that this full moon is bringing your attention to that. And for those of you who are in relationships, who are relying on other people, and who are in what seems like a team, you might be having a rude awakening with this full moon and realizing that the reception is not there in the way that you deserve it to be. And if you're in that boat, this is a clear red flag for you. I'm telling you, save yourself some time. If you're having that feeling that those people in your life are not stepping up the way they should should be your red flag. You should be packing your bags. You should be making alternative plans. This full moon is illuminating for you that they're just not the right people for you. If under this full moon you're feeling that way, that the people who should be there for you are not, then I think Seven of Swords, you need to get out of there. Like, Aquarius moon rules the Seven of Swords. I have an Aquarius moon, so that's your friendly strategy. Like, get the crap out of there. And that's also the Aquarian energy here. Go out, reach out, Taurus. So if you're in the position that you don't have someone there, family, love, friendship, whatever, if you feel alone, that's not a defining moment right now. You might be feeling that, like realizing your situation, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just something that is at this time, and later on it will change. I think the Tauruses who suddenly do feel like they're leaking water and someone's who should be helping isn't, they're the ones who should be taking note of this the most. And if you're in a relationship that is giving and you feel supported under this full moon, that will be stressed as well. Okay? So your partner could be, and then you can feel really warm and fuzzy if you're in the loving relationship of your dreams. That's how I would read this full moon if I was Taurus energy. It's either they're good, either no one's there, which is fine. And if someone is there and they're lacking, then you're getting your clear. You can drag that on for years if you want, but if I would follow the astrology, if you're getting the signal that they're not there for you now, then I would be seeking different company. Even yourself, by yourself, is better than that. Okay? That's a really powerful message. It's subtle, but it's there. Okay? Aries next. Hey Aries, how are you guys doing? I have some messages for Aries. I don't think they're for today. But we'll come back. I'm just giving you a heads up. I think that there's a lot to... I need to think about what I'm going to say for Aries. But I already have some messages for you guys. There's a lot coming up for Aries that's worth discussing. It's just nuanced, so I want to choose my words wisely. Okay, so your message. So just if you're popping in now, sorry, my throat is tickling. I think I need to take a sip of tea, but hold on. Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. By the way, are you guys bothered when I do voiceovers like this? It was very convenient to start before the sun rose this morning. So let me know if you're okay with once in a while doing just audio editions. Just curious if it's ruining your experience or if it's okay. So definitely not my goal, but like if it means I start at 5 or something and film it live, then that might work sometimes. If you have a remote control that could only do one thing, what would you want it to do, Aries? Okay. If you have a remote control that could only do one thing, what would you want it to do, Aries? And tell me your sun, moon, and rising. So Aries energy. So this is a fire full moon. You're a fire sign. This is in your 5th house, Aries. So this is nice and happy. I mentioned in the intro that Leo is associated with the mother, and especially in belief systems that center the sun as feminine, which is, it's not that the moon is feminine across the board, far from it. And some very ancient traditions center the sun as feminine and moon as masculine. And so in the 5th house, we have the motherly, loving solar energy. So it's a nice full moon for you in terms of that, Aries. I have a feeling that like under this full moon, you get a very like close response from someone around you to outward pressures. So the acquaintances, the people out there, the people you're interacting with, there's someone around you who's providing for you a very nurturing, caring, loving response. So this is a bonding time for you and someone else. It's very much like cooped up at home, close to home, warmth. This is like few over the many time for you. And I think this will be a theme for you for a very long time. The mob starts to feel uncomfortable. Not necessarily that there's a conflict in it for you, but suddenly the warm company of someone like close to you, loving energy, nurture energy is hitting that spot in a way that the mob can never. Okay, so here is your cards. We have the Leo cards, strength. We have the 8 of Pentacles, which is work. 7 of Cups, and the 2 of Pentacles. So this is more of an intuitive message that I'm getting. We have the 8 of Cups on the bottom. There's a separation from the group. There's a separation from the mob for Aries. Not because there's a conflict. It's a distancing because priorities are being chosen. You're choosing priorities. Suddenly the mob does not offer the quality of relationship that you are seeking to support to achieve the goals that you want. There's something that you're working on, Aries, that is requires a lot of focus and attention and skill. And you're finding that many groups of people, even if they're your friends, they are in some way creating distraction from what you want. And so it's a process with this full moon of self-awareness. And I think that you had like a work spurt where you had a lot of energy to do what you wanted to do. There was a lot of passion in what you were doing. And then you got distracted by too many people, too many voices, too many inputs. And now it's a Two of Pentacles situation. So you're still moving forward, but much slower, with the added awareness that the person who's by your side is more, it improves your experience as opposed to, people who may not know such an intimate side of you. Okay, so it's like they don't know, they're far away, but close to here, it just works better because your priority is to get to where you are going, right? It's that Eight of Cups on the bottom, which is walking away. There's no conflict here. It's just suddenly, I think you had a little bit of bump in the road. So you were working with a lot of passion, you were getting things done, and then suddenly it became overwhelming because of distraction of the various energies of different people. And so you found yourself with someone else, sitting with someone else, like I was on the beach in my story, and their energy was a centering force for you. Their loving, caring, nurturing energy was a centering force for you. So basically you realize that you wouldn't get to where you want to be if you keep enmeshing yourself with the mob, with all of the people. And so and now you will continue to work in the direction that you want to go. The Two of Pentacles does suggest that it's a decrease of intensity to what it was, but it's still moving forward. Okay, that's a very nice reading. Just toning it down a little bit, I think, with this full moon. Okay. Hi, everyone in the comments. So we have 5 more to go. I hope the pace of this is okay for everyone. I know I went on a rant, but if I didn't say the things that I've perceived, I have to be very careful with how I talk, right? But if I didn't say the things that I perceived, then I needed to get it out of my system, because one of my cornerstones for what I do on the channel is authentic communication. And I cannot fully engage in that and trying to manipulate it, right? If I feel very strongly that that's the thing, then I need to say it, get it out of the way so we can continue. So thanks for giving me the space to do that. Yeah. I get very stressed out if I don't say it. And I'll always be there for days and days and days. So just get it out, say what needs to be said and move on, right? Okay, so we have the Sagittarius. Okay. Sorry. I'm taking the second sip. I think I can make it to the end of the show. Okay, so Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now you guys, you know. Sun, Moon, and Rising Sag. Okay, so if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? That's the perfect question for Sagittarius. Also mention your Sun, Moon, and Rising, just so we can assess your answer with more detail. Sagittarius. I think we just finished the fire signs too, so we're done through Earth and Fire. Leo, because I think we did Leo, right? No, we haven't done Leo. Leo's going to be the best, so you want to stick around for that. And whenever it's like a full moon in that sign, everybody should watch it, because that's the collective message as well. That's where the energy is, right? So if it's a Leo full moon, everybody watch the Leo part. Good idea. Okay, Sagittarius. This is a nice full moon for you. All the fire signs. Nice full moon opening up doors and bringing things out. Listen, you're embarking on a trajectory, on a trip, on an expansion of your universe, of your world. And in about a year and a half, the South Node is going to go through this area of the chart. And there's a really complex storyline or a really complex trajectory that you are embarking upon here. And it's just the beginning stages. And so the South Node going through this, it will throw your way dynamics that you're going to have to get through to get to where you are going. But with this full moon, it's not about complications or obstacles. It's just the potential is opening up for where you are going to go. The card that we chose was about travel. The 9th house is about travel. This does encompass, different places, different people, just moving, going far away, expanding consciousness and horizons. Very, very nice. And then you also, if you have Sagittarius placements, you're the only ones under a fire trine, and especially if you have placements in the last degrees of Sagittarius, then you have this grand fire trine with the full moon, or you did. And so for you, this was very empowering. If you have placements in Leo in the last 10 degrees, so 20 degrees to 30 degrees of Leo, it's likely that the situation that you are facing or you have been dealing with has a lot to do with like obstacles and shortcomings. Things that didn't let you be who you are now you now have a solution. So if you watch the beginning of today's video, my message overall was finding a solution to authenticity for all of us. But for you specifically, this is like whatever is stopping you, whatever set of circumstances that feel so dismissive and erasure of you as a person, this full moon finds a solution. And for some of you, that solution is going to be to move, to get away, to physically exit, go somewhere else. So pay attention and listen. You don't have to go yet, but if along this full moon, you might be getting like, you need to change your environment pretty quick, and this is where you need to go. That kind of message could be showing up for you. Here is the next card. We have the Star. We have the King of Swords. And then we have the Magician. And then, Ace of Cups. Big reading for... Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. 2 aces. Change of places. You guys are moving. You're going. You're changing. It's time to go. And I heard Susan, hi, she said, waiting for you to say it. So there's your confirmation. Always use my stuff as a compliment to your own discernment. I don't want to be, I'm trying to be a guide for you guys here and give you info to help you make decisions. But so it's really nice when I hear, like, I've been thinking about that. So it's meant to be like, I'm your sign, like a signpost, like directions. So it's like, I don't know if you guys seen my Instagram, but I found this like really cute old video of like, back in the day, like in the 90s or 80s even, there would be call centers for video games. So you could call the video game call center and someone would walk you through different video games. It was I was like obsessed with it as a kid. A little kid. I was like, I never called one, and so I found the video, and it's this woman's like, she's explaining to a kid like how to get through a Zelda game, and she's like, you turn left with Link, and then you go to this place, and then you go to that place. And that's really how I envision my astrology for you guys. It's not meant to be like, this is the only way. This is just what I see as information, so I hope you understand, and this is how I think it works best. So when you're listening, it's kind of like your directions that you could potentially take to get some kind of an outcome, and then hopefully it coincides with what's going on for you. So we have the Star, we have the King of Swords, the Magician, and Ace of Cups. This is very, very blessed. This is the best reading of the day. All the readings are somewhat good. This is a very good full moon. It's the moon. So all that negative stuff that's going on in the world, Pluto brings positive and negative in extremes. The full moon in Leo is going to point us in the direction of solutions right? And so we're seeing solutions to the things that are only beginning now that we're going to have to figure out later and as soon as possible. Definitely, like, try to address this as soon as possible. All of this stuff on the macro and the personal. Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups and Ace of Pentacles signifying change. You are going, this is giving you a clear sign that you are going somewhere else. You have a Magician and the Star card. There are powerful energies around you that are blessing you and helping you on this path now. This is the perfect time, Sagittarius, to go. Maybe you don't have to physically go yet, but look around in your surroundings. There's a King of Swords who is helping you. There is a protective energy. This could be a man or a woman, but this is a smart person. This is a person of power. They have used their mind to ascend to a certain position and place. And so they are in some way guiding you and helping you to get to where you need to go. This is we have the higher arcana, you have the trumps. The Star is Aquarius, which is this part here in the third house, and the Magician is Mercury, which is also in Aquarius at this time. This could be a brother, a sibling, someone near you who's blessing you. Not in all cases, but there's I sense the presence is very near you. The person is very near you in some way. They're present, and they have a lot of force because we have the Magician. So this person has, it's like an opportunity. They're setting you in a proper direction. Somebody's helping you to go in the direction that you want. There's a lot of force behind it. So if you feel called to do so, this is the time to go. This is your open green light in a big way. And it's fated, which is the Star, right? So fated things are happening around you, Sag. It's time to go. It's time to explore. It's against this Aries and Chiron here specifically, because the full moon happened, what was it, like 23 degrees Aquarius, 24 degrees Aquarius. So that's a perfect trine between the two, okay? And so if you have placements here or anywhere in Sag, it's the grand trine out of that formation. This is one of the, it happens, how do I say this? It happens all the time, but specifically right now, over the next 5 years, whenever you get a full moon in Leo or a new moon in Leo, you are getting this grand trine energy off of Chiron and Aries together. And that is the big other in your life that is holding you down, the man. This is your this is your opportunity to break beyond however they're holding you back. So whatever the theme is in your life of oppression, this is a great signal of breaking free. Okay. The big other. Screw the man. Yeah, Sagittarius, lead the way. Okay, so next we have Aquarius. Another gangster. Here we go. Aquarius. Sun, moon, and rising. Hey, girl, hey. Gosh, I was lit today. How many hours are we doing? It's going to be like 3, right? Yeah, 3 hours. That's okay. Views. 11 views, guys. Oh, it's going to be 11 somewhere. I think like in Ohio, right? Like we're coming upon 11. Where's 11's coming? We've been through 11 on the East Coast, so I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, so here's a question for Aquarians. Let's make it weird. What is the most adventurous thing you have ever done? This is a good question. Sun, moon, rising. Tell me your sun, moon, rising. What is the most adventurous thing you have ever done, Aquarius? I didn't ask this, but it might get confusing. Like, make sure that your answer is clear because we've asked 12 different questions of 12 different signs. It's going to be really hard for me to, unless you're clear in what you're answering, I won't know. Oh, that's cool. Melanie I'm going to share what Melanie said. She's a Sagittarius. She says, wow, my sister is a Sag rising who has a developmental disability. I just started advocating for her. Yay. This is what I was talking about in the beginning. Advocate for other people, for her to live somewhere else more supportive for her. Good for you. Sending you good vibes. That's the best. Wonderful energy. High five. Okay, so Aquarians. So I asked your question. Now we're going to take a look at this. Oh, relationships, are we? Okay, so relationships are coming into focus. There's a disruptive element in your family that's changing the pace of things. And so everybody is adapting. There's a curveball. Somebody's, showing up in a different dynamic in your family. Somebody's showing up with different info. Hey, mom, dad, I've become a carny. Not that there's anything wrong with being a carny, but there's some kind of curveball. I don't think it's you. I think it's more likely like your sibling or your child or your partner's coming in with like a curveball that's going to change things. Not in a bad way. Being a carny's not bad. Hey, mom, dad, I became an OF model. Again, nothing wrong with it, but it's going to be something that's going to shock and awe. Okay? So this full moon is about relationships. I think overall it's going to bring your family closer. But I do think that there's a disruptive element, like keeping people on their toes with this energy. You did what? With whom? And where? So that's the energy. I think that it's going to lead to a transformative energy in your outside world. So whatever's going on for you personally right now in some way will transcend towards the outside, the exterior. Okay. So here is 4 cards. We have there's that Page of Swords. There's definitely someone coming in with a curveball, like unexpected information. It's not bad. I'm not getting a bad vibe. I think it's going to disrupt the balance of power. Then we have Moon in Aquarius, 7 of Swords, and then 7 of Pentacles. Hey, mom, dad, I just started a business in the Philippines. Like, we're from the Midwest. What are you doing? You know how everybody went to Bali at some point? Something like that. Okay. I thought you were saving for a house. 4 of Pentacles on the bottom. Speaking of, so it's changing. It's disruptive. There's a disruptive energy in your family life. But I think people standing in their authenticity, doing what they truly want to do, is such a power move that it brings people together. So it's not unhealthy, whatever this person is doing. I think that it's going to shock you, and it's the thing for you, Aquarius, is that it's going to disrupt your plan. Like, you saw things going one way, and now it's going to be different. So your assumptions, like, for example, let's say your sister shows up. She's like, I'm moving to Bali. I'm going to become a yoga teacher in Bali. And you're like, I thought we were going to have kids together and you're going to live down the street. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to bring you closer because she's going to step into her authenticity. But I think that it's going to disrupt the expectations, that what's expected. Not a bad thing at all, but it's disruptive full moon for you. And the information is coming now. It may have already come for the full moon before. And I think that you're going to just adjust your plans. So I think it's a very nice full moon. It's going to bring you closer with the other person. I don't think you should be afraid of what it is, Aquarius. I do think that it's going to rock your world in the sense of especially monetary plans and, like what you planned to do. I think it's a disruptive. But disruptions are sometimes good when you have to adjust something. And I do get the sense that you were stuck in a rut. The rut of the same, and maybe it was even working. It's not saying, but there's an adjustment that is made as a result of somebody else's actions or decisions to adjust to the expectations of the pattern and the repetitive pattern that has been made. Okay? So things are changing. You'll adapt. You'll have a good time, and you'll be closer with the other person because they'll be happier because they made a decision that's good for them. Okay, so next we have is Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Whoops, sorry. Scorpio's coming. Don't worry. So we have Leo and Scorpio last two. I'm excited for this ending. Libra, nice to see you. Let's have some fun. Libra is another sign that is going to be front and center. So Leo, Libra, Gemini, completely different signs. We're going to be focusing on completely different signs than we were before. It's not my choice. It's just where the energy is. So you want to get familiar with your house of Libra, whatever houses Libra rules in your chart. We'll get to know Libra very, very well. Okay? In great detail. Okay, so Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Let's get to know Libra a little bit better. Let me know your sun, moon, and rising if you're Libra placement. And here's your question. If you could have any famous artist... if you could have any famous artist create a portrait of you, who would you choose and why? I like this. So, Cookie, I was thinking of you. Nice to see you, babe. It's like, where's Cookie been? Where have I been? That's the important, not the important, but like the I've been missing in action. That's what I'm saying. Cookie's not been missing. I've been missing. But nice to see you, dear. Okay, so yeah, Libra, tell me, what was it? It was, I hid the question. If you could have, oh, no, this is a different question. It was a portrait or whatever I read. Answer that, because I thought that was great. I love art, if you guys don't know. I love art. I'm such an art nerd. Okay, so sun, moon, and rising Libra, full moon in your 11th house of social connections and friendship. Whoever you're interacting with right now, Libra, is very important for the upcoming time frame. For better or good, pay attention who's there. They are catalysts for change for you and progress. So pay attention to like who's reaching out to you and like who you're vibing with, which one of your friends you're closest with right now. Who's reaching out to you? Who are you finding yourself around? They're going to be very important. Let's pick some cards. So we have the 9 of Rods, the King of Cups. Everybody's in their emotions. That's the one thing with politically what's going on and socially right now. I think that we're going to have a big emotional response. So I think that we may not be able to control the systems of power right away, but I think that it is going to lead to a much more compassionate environment as people get like humbled and they get in their emotions. And I think that we are turning to a more, as individuals and families, we are turning to a much more compassionate approach towards each other in circumstances that we may not have full control over all the time right away right now. So it's kind of like when seeing so many tragic things happening, it makes us think about our own lives and how we conduct ourselves with other people. And it prompts us to be more soft and kind. And this really builds. So I see this King of Cups. It's not just a man. It's just a very compassionate style that's emerging from people. You know, you see horrible people doing horrible things and you're just like, it makes you want to be a good person. I hope it does anyway. So we have King of Cups, Libra. This is around you. And then we have the Emperor. If you're in a fight with your partner, Libra, I think that there's going to be makeup time. Makeup time. They're going to reach out to you. And if there's separation, 3 of Swords. If there's a separation between you and your partner, I think that there's a real healing opportunity here. They're really stepping into their energy of compassion and love. And even though it's in the 11th house, I think it's coming to you. I think that you got the Nine of Wands, which does suggest to me if you are in a conflict with a significant other, and if it's not a partner, it could be like a family member or someone else you care about. If there's feelings hurt, do not reach out to them. Let them reach out to you. The Nine of Wands is suggesting like some space. Sometimes like people need time to figure out what's good. I do see for you social connections in the meantime. So go out with your friends, go out with other friends, just, you know, separate yourself and allow some room. On the bottom is the Three of Swords. This could be also a sign that if you really got your feelings hurt by someone, like a partner or someone else, if you had broken up with someone, there is someone else that's going to come out of that for you. So like right now you may be feeling in some way alone or isolated, but don't hide your head, Libra. Lift it up. There is going to be people reaching out to you with love and care, and you got the Hermit, which to me suggests at a time when you feel kind of sad and lonely. Okay, so you may be feeling sad and blue, all alone, but there's a King of Cups for you, male or female, any gender, and the Emperor. It's a significant connection. So out of something, if you are going through like a rickety rackety time and you feel kind of alone and sort of sad or blue, I think that you're on the precipice of a real powerful connection. You have Venus in your 7th house for the next couple weeks anyway, so this might be a great time for that. And when Saturn enters Aries, one thing I'll say, it's not necessarily the end of a relationship. It's also the confirmation of a really solid relationship. So this would be on pace for a beginning of a really solid relationship for you. Beginning a spark right now with Aries. And then when Saturn enters, really confirming the solidity of that relationship, the power, you know, the positive structure. Okay. So yeah, so if I feel like some Libras might be sad and lonely right now. So hold on, something's coming through and it's big because we have the Emperor and the King of Cups together. So something's stepping up for you in a big way with a very loving energy. And it could be a man or a woman, you know, and it doesn't have to be romance. It could be just someone very like important, but it is more of a romantic flair. Okay. So if you're lonely baloney, there could be something, it's whatever it is, it's very loving. That's what I'll say. And think of loving in an open-ended way. Okay. Okay. So next sign is Scorpio. Hey, Scorpios. I think we saved the last for least, the best for last. Okay. So Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So there we go, Scorpios. So do you guys like these question cards? I'm going to read them. I'm not trying not to read them so I can focus on the reading, but I think it's a good idea. I saw them and I was like, oh, that's fun. Oh, excuse me. So we have, what is your favorite quote from a movie or a TV show? And why does it inspire you? Okay. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys can use the internet to give me good quotes and tell me your Sun, Moon, and Rising if you have Scorpio placements. Okay. So, Scorpios. Leo, full moon in your 10th house. Let's see. Definitely for career, for networking. Very good. The Magician and the King of Swords came out, which means that somebody may be spreading your favor. They just fell out. I put them back in. Like someone's talking on your behalf in a positive way. You have like a, you know, like powerful ally who's spreading the good news. Okay. So, let's pick 4 cards. We have the 9 of Rods. Everybody's sort of feeling like, kind of like they want to process. When I've been away, I wasn't away to process, but one of the things that were happening while I was away was I was processing everything that was going on. Like, what the heck am I going to say to them? Like, all this crap's going on. Like, I really didn't know. It was like, and every day it's something different. And I know that's a strategy, but, you know, not a fun strategy. So 9 of Rods I can really identify with, in the sense that maybe all of us have felt like overwhelmed. And I think that's by strategy, and not necessarily just by one group's actions. It could be like overall, like the Pluto entering Aquarius is just like a big shift. And this one has been, you know, with all the astrologers yelling, Pluto's in Aquarius, Pluto's in Aquarius. It just made it that much bigger. I think that in 2009, when Pluto entered Capricorn, I don't think that there was this breadth of fanfare. This was a huge one, right? Like, I think this was the first Pluto ingress in which so many people have been into astrology, and like online and media and everywhere, like, your life's about to change. So it's really like brought that energy up. So some people might be like, if you're a thinker, or if you need to process, or if you're like, you're just sitting there and you're just like, wow, that's a lot of information all at once. Okay, so we have the full moon in Leo. So career, I think that you're perceiving something that's far away in your life. Like, you know, when you're on a boat and you see the horizon and it's still far away, you're seeing something far away. So pay attention to what you're perceiving about life or whatever you're seeing in your life, your personal life. You're seeing something far away in the distant horizon. On the bottom is the Hierophant. This is the first time. There's something that you know about from your lived experiences that has informed your perception. So you have an inside scoop on what's going on, but it's not clear yet what that is. I'm just here to tell you, me being a sign again, what you're perceiving is true. Okay? So what you are perceiving is true to form. It is what it is. You're seeing it accurately. And by following your perception, you are going to achieve a level of mastery and success, which is the Emperor. So if it's relationships, if it's personal stuff, whatever it is, you are seeing you know how you're far away from something, so you don't see the details yet. You may not know exactly what it is. But the main theme that's coming up in your life, Scorpio, right now, in this time of separation, you've separated yourself in some way. It is true what you're seeing. And now as time moves forward, life will fill in the details for you. And the important thing is to stick to your perception, not doubt it, and follow through and allow everything to kind of materialize all around you. If it's a relation, you could be seeing, like, you could have met someone and they could have, you're like, oh, I could be with this person. You know how they always say, like, a girl meets a guy and she's like, I could marry this guy, or maybe any direction, like any orientation. But like, it's typically said that a girl meets a guy, she's like, I could marry him right away. It could be a situation like this where you've just met someone, you don't know them, but you're like, oh, they're really great. And then so you're moving closer to that Emperor. Or maybe you come across something like a workout and you're like, oh, that's a really good workout. Maybe you're not doing the workout yet, but in the future, you're going to incorporate it in your life. So you're getting messaging from the world around you about something, and something's resonating. That is your path, and you're going to find out more about it later. It's good. And for some of you, because it's the Hierophant on the bottom, it might be insight into university or education. So it could be like, suddenly you feel a call to go back to school. Suddenly you feel, I'm going to go in this direction. And so, yeah, so you're getting that insight. So trust that insight, Scorpio. It's a good one. Or maybe starting a business, because we're talking about the 10th house. So last but not least is Leo. And this is the one everybody should watch. And I didn't announce that in the beginning, but whenever you're watching for an astrology transit that is in a specific sign, it might be really helpful to like watch for that sign that it's in. Somebody's talking about Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. My favorite character is Tom Bombadil. He doesn't actually appear in the books very much, but I'm so mad about that. It's totally my favorite character in Lord of the Rings. By far. Okay. Okay, so we have Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So we're going to, last question of the day, everybody can answer. Tell me your Sun, Moon, and Rising. Oh, are you an early bird or a night owl? And what do you do? We know what Veroosh does when she's an early bird. So I'm doing readings. But what do you do when you're getting up super early or staying up super late? And tell me your Sun, Moon, and Rising. I had to make it more interesting than A or B. Okay, so Leo. So the full moon is in your house. A lot of this has a lot to do, the story. I'll repeat it from the beginning just in case someone didn't want to watch the intro. Leo is the mother, okay? And it's connected to observance of the sun as female. So you know how we always describe the moon as female and the sun as male? There are many traditions on Earth where the sun is female and the moon is male. Ancient traditions. This isn't new. And so the Leo archetype, which is sometimes stereotyped as selfish or, egotistical, there is a loving energy in Leo, which is the 5th house, ruler of the 5th house, the house of children, that is maternal. Okay, so if you have Leo placements, when you're hearing this and that about Leo, you can always remember it's the sign of the mother. So it's a really beautiful, very beautiful passion. There's a passion, a maternal passion in Leo. And if you're a man, that's good too. You can take on the archetype. It's a very caring, loving energy, Leo. And so this gets you in touch. This full moon gets you in touch with that energy. The outside world, so you have this transit that was the worst transit for Cancer. It's not the worst transit for you. Pluto in Aquarius. All of the oppositions that happen between now and 2044 are happening with Pluto, right? And so this full moon is not necessarily an event in and of itself, but it's an insight into what is happening, like what is the theme. And Leo becomes our solution. So that maternal, loving, kind energy, self-respect, is coming in opposition to some of the more negative energies of Pluto and Aquarius. So that's your energy of the full moon. It's not necessarily something happening, but getting in touch with yourself, getting in touch with your meow, meow, loving, beautiful, bright energy. Okay, very nice. Just really understanding self-worth and care. Overthinking? Yeah. I answered a question, but maybe that's for you too. Concern and... Okay, Leo, here are your 4 cards. We have the 3 of Wands. We have the King of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords. Lots of kings coming out. That doesn't mean that it's an emphasis on men, although it might imply that. But it's also lots of meetings. All of you guys, pay attention to meetings and connections, powerful conversations, powerful decisions. There's also a Queen of Pentacles. There's powerful meaning. So everybody should be going into meetings, okay? Meetings, connections, open the door for new opportunities in the past. There is, for Leo specifically, a potential of misunderstanding that will be addressed in a meeting. So go have the meeting, go have the communication. And if you feel as though in your environment there's a miscommunication at work or wherever else, have the meeting and talk it out, because it could be a very easy solution. It's three wise people, King of Pentacles, King of Swords, and Queen of Pentacles, getting together and hashing it out. And that process of communication opens up the door for new outcomes. And also speaking up for yourself, Leo. So don't be quiet. Don't let them, quiet you out. You say if you speak your truth. Speaking of authenticity, Leo is the sign of authenticity. We may not get it or want it all the time, but you're going to do it. You're going to embody it, right? Yes, this video is available for everyone because I didn't put my foot in my mouth. So now we are done. I hope you guys had fun. I had a real fun time talking with you guys today. It's been a long time coming, and I guess Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I'm not going to promise a members only video tomorrow, but maybe we'll do one. A little love action messages. We got a little lovey-dovey today. I feel like people are up in the air for love. It's all this, because it's been Aquarius season, but we have an emphasis on Piscean energy already. And it's just we had Venus in Pisces all month long. So, it's good. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys had fun. And 2 hours, 44 minutes isn't bad. Okay. Talk to you soon. Take care. And thank you, members. We'll have more content out for you soon. Bye. And I will post the time caps in just a minute. Bye.